Good morning from Central Virginia on this very pleasant June morning. It's early June and I want to show you what's happening in my garden. So let's take a little walk around just to see how things have changed since the last time I showed you around a couple weeks ago. Oftentimes we start outside the garden, but let's take a look inside the garden gate. You can see that things have really developed quite a lot. Underneath the sunscreen over there are my brassicas. There's some kale in there, and I've got cabbages coming on, and they're starting to head up. We have the peas that are just about done over here. These are shelling peas. I'm going to pick the rest of those today. And I have lettuces, and the very first gladiolas are starting to bloom. These are the parsnips, which were planted way back in March, and they won't come out for a very long time. Along the fence, you can see that I have both, I have some purple potted, Louisiana purple potted beans growing, and down below are the Kentucky Wonder beans growing up. Then down the aisle, we have some tomatoes and basil, my favorite combinations. This is the little sweetie tomatoes. This is an indeterminate tomato, and I have found that that particular tomato plant just wants to go where it wants to go, and so I don't actually prune that one. This is a Mountaineer's Pride. Spinning around, oops, the rain has knocked over this gladiola stand. These gladiolas, there were once 4 gladiola plants here 4 years ago, and they're not supposed to winter over. You're supposed to dig them up, but guess not. They're doing just fine. As I step over here, I can see a volunteer tomato plant. I'm just leaving it. It's a perfectly good place for it. I did a video on planting this bean teepee. These are the Worcester in red Indian beans, and they are really growing well. They have something seems to be eating on this one. Let's see if we can find any bean beetles or anything. Nope, but I have seen a lot of lantern flies, nymphs all around. So those are growing really well. This is a lemon squash that I planted at the same time I did the beans. Alongside, these are beets, and the beets have been fantastic. These are golden boy beets, and they are probably getting about ready to pick. But I've been harvesting all of the other early wonders and ruby queens and the Cylindra beets as well. Wow, things really have grown. We've had a couple of days of rain, and you really can tell. This is the monumentally large squash plant, zucchini and yellow squash, and it is starting to get ready to produce. Down here we've got some yellow squash forming. Yay! Lots of flowers here, and over on the Costa Romanesca zucchini, you can see I've got a nice one there, and I've got one right over there. Very nice. Isn't that a beautiful flower? Here is my long tunnel, and I have some cilantro that is bolted and some beautiful borage here. And this is a little melon that is starting to climb up the vine. I'm going to give it some help here and help it out. Keep it off and get it going up, up, up. These are the ones that I had to replace because I had some voles that ate the other ones. So I've got some Eden gems in here, and this one is a Noir de Carme. My French is not good, coming up on this side of the trellis. Oh my goodness, look at all the little mushrooms that popped up overnight in the rain. Great sign to see mushrooms in your mulch and in your beds, because that is a good sign of soil fertility. Over here, I did a video on planting up this trellis with the melons on the one side. These are the Trombosino squash, which has sprouted. I'm going to wait till they get one leaf on them, and then I will thin those down to 1 plant per, because if I end up with 6 plants growing here, it will just be totally excessive. Here's the chamomile that just started from a tiny little plant last year, and that really didn't do anything, and it just spread like crazy. I'm going to pick some of those for tea today. And I did a video, I guess yesterday, on the cucumber situation, which is raging, I would say. I've picked my first one, and I think I'm going to be getting a few more today off of this planting. The cabbage is looking good, as is the Monarda starting to bloom behind it. And this is my sweet pepper row. I can see this one really needs to be tied up, which I will do today. I don't want that to fall over. So the peppers are really growing nicely. I have several different kinds of sweet peppers here. Here are the potatoes that are getting ready to, they're flopping over and turning yellow. That means they're about ready to pick. Walking on down through, we see some more potatoes here. And the newly replanted eggplants are under the netting. We have, this is pokeweed, which I don't want. Seems to have appeared overnight practically. So I have, these are my indeterminate tomatoes growing along the side. And you can see in the pen that I have the watermelon and the sweet potatoes and a few volunteer sunflowers as well. So these newly replanted eggplants seem to be percolating quite well. And everything is just perked up so much from the rain. I can't believe it. So on this side, with all of these tomatoes growing in here, these are ones that I had to replant because of, you guessed it, voles. There's another giant borage about to burst forth. Over here we have some leeks, potatoes in grow bags, and these are the green beans that are coming along. In fact, we have something, not quite yet. Oh, I'd like to see that lady beetle back there. I think that's a lady beetle. Yeah, there are lots of blossoms, which means they're going to be soon. Beans will come along. There are two kinds of beans in here. Now here are the sugar snap peas. This trellis is about finished up, but we'll just let them go until they're pretty much all done. We'll walk up by the sauce patch, and here are more of the gone to flower cilantro. Now this area is my next big project, which I'll get onto in a few days, and that is this bed needs to be flipped. But in the meantime, we have the Suyu long cucumbers, and this one is ready to harvest. Yeah, and so is this one. So they grow really fast. Once they start growing, they really grow. I love calendula, and these are beautiful calendula plants that I have interspersed. Some are volunteers, some were deliberately planted. Over here I have more leeks, peppers, and another row of tomatoes. And the volunteer, I thought it was a pumpkin, but now I'm thinking it might be a Trumbosino squash. We're just going to have to find out what this thing is. Who are you? Are you a pumpkin, or is you a pumpkin, or is you a Trumbosino squash growing on the ground? Don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned. We'll find out. We've got a few onions tucked in there, a few tomatoes here and there, and another batch of, these are pickling cucumbers here, the little ones that are growing along here. This Monarda's about to bloom. This bag is cosmic purple carrots, and they're not ready to pick yet, but they soon will be, I think. All right, let's just take a quick little look around the outside. I have some onions planted here and there, and I have flowers tucked in here and there. And here is one of my artichokes that survived. I have 3 surviving artichokes of the 5 that I planted. 2 were eaten by voles early on. Look at this yarrow. I really think this is so beautiful. This was a glorious foxglove that is basically all done with its blooming for this year. This is a bed that I'm wrestling with whatever creature is coming through and digging things up. But I've got some gladiolas and flowers. It's going to be mainly flowers until you get to the trellis. And I have planted snake beans in here, although they have not sprouted yet. I'm hoping they'll sprout soon. And there's some celosia and nigella here and all kinds of different flowers that are coming up. I'm hoping that these are dahlias. They're just sort of in the place where the dahlias are supposed to be coming up, but they just are kind of really taking their own sweet time. Walking underneath the arch, and beside the arch, I have my root stout potatoes. Here, once more, I see a critter has dug up. I have Like poor, poor little Armenian cucumbers just keep getting dug up by whoever is coming in here. I think they're probably looking for voles. All right, look here. Yay. Finally, artichokes. And there's a couple more growing on the other side. And also I see some aphids in there. Here's another artichoke. And a lupin. Oh, brother. Who are you that is digging up all of my stuff? On the outside here, I have more onions. This is my border row with flowers and peppers. Peppers over here in my sunken pots. Makes a nice border and boundary. My blueberry row. I don't have as many blueberries as I'd like this year. I think a lot of the blossoms got hit by a cold, so they didn't really develop that many. But I have a few, and some of them are starting to ripen. Like that one, quite sweet. I have some daisies, Shasta daisies, that are about to burst. Oh, nope, here's one already. It has bloomed. Big old patch of oregano planted from one little sprig last year. Some eggplants in pots and more leeks. My big patch of lavender. And my blue sage. Another eggplant. Down this row, we have the garlic about to be pulled. Watermelons. Zinnias. All sorts of good things. Some more onions. You can see that I've got melons starting up on the inside of this archway. And look at these very beautiful golden flame honeysuckle growing up here. Over here, this is going to be my melon patch if I can get it going, but something keeps digging around. I've got some sunflowers planted in the back and a couple of tomatoes to grow up along this fence row. Moving right along, you can kind of get a sense of what all of this area looks like as a whole. Maybe one day I'll fence this outer part. That's a lot of fencing. Every time you make a fence, I need to make a border, which means more mulching, more wood chips, more work. But we'll see. Let's pull this weed out. This is some grass growing, and I don't want that in there. Oh, come on, you. Get out. Look, there's some more mushrooms popped up underneath the zinnias. Oh, nice. Okay, here's a big sunflowers coming up. Inside is a little butternut squash. And over here's another archway entrance here, which is going to have butternut squash growing up it. And here's another butternut squash starting its journey, and this one is about to hatch there. Look, a weed. And a grass. So here we've got a yellow moonbeam melon. That's actually the yellow moonbeam over here. And I think this one might be a crimson sweet. Can't recall exactly. Here is my external row of peppers and eggplant and basil. And here is my first tomato that has fruit on it. Right here. This is a Mariglobe, which I planted with some basil. Over here we've got hops growing up, and this is the passion flower vine that has come back from last year and is starting its climb. My roses aren't really blooming at the moment. They've gone through one big flush, although this one is starting to bloom again on my rose alley. And you can see I've got some Monarda. But things are really starting to percolate here in the garden. As we go up, you can see that cucumber going crazy in there. This will be, next time I see you, we'll probably see more flowers popping up in here. And I've got more tomatoes on the external with my rabbit and deer, well, deer mainly, who are coming along clomping things, chomping them down. So hopefully we've prevented that, or at least deterred that. And so there you have it, the early June walkabout in the garden. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining me today. And in case you don't know, I'm an organic, no-dig gardener in Central Virginia. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye.